Okay, so anxiety, forms and experiences are often us recognizing how we're not in control, right? So I'll say we're not in control of how we behave when we're not filled up with I'll say I'm not in control of how I behave when I'm not filled up with love. I'm not in control of others' actions, choices, and feelings and opinions. I'm not in control of whether someone is honest with me. I am not in control of if someone loves me for who I am. I'm not in control of whether someone else is attracted to me. I'm not in control of the conclusions that others come to. I'm not in control of the ideas that I'll have in the future. I'm not in control of God, who is the organizer, controller, the source. I'm not in control of what I'll do down the line based on the future arising circumstances and determinations. I am not in control of the health or the wellness of someone else, and I'm not in control of the mess others make and if they clean it up. I'm not in control of if others will focus on my blessings and offerings. I'm not in control of how others need to express or speak. I'm not in control of whether someone else will feel comforted by me or feel I'm a good companion. I'm not in control of whether future surprises or of the future surprises, unpredictabilities, possibilities. And I'm definitely not in control of whether someone listens to me or is open to my feedback. In the Shulchan Aruch, which is the code of the Jewish law, the halacha, the way to go, there's 3 requirements for converting validly to Judaism. One is you accept the yoke of the Torah, literally like a yoke. It's called mitzvahs. I mean, it's not so foreign because yoga means yoke, right? So a lot of people already become familiar with this idea of yoking. So the number 1 is to yoke the Torah, the mitzvahs, as God's will. The Torah being God's will, the mitzvahs being God's will, God's thoughts, right? Accepting it onto oneself, accepting the yoke. Number 2, males get circumcised by the mohel. If a doctor had done it, then you have to still undergo a ritual called hatafas hadam, which is like a little bit of blood spills from there's still an incision. It has to be done properly. Number 3, there's mikvah, which is ritual bath immersion. It's linked to like the reservoir of rainwater idea. Not idea, like a water source. And all of these are done before a court of 3 Jewish men who believe in God, accept the divinity of the Torah, and observe the mitzvos. So these are people who are observant of the transformational deeds we have to do and work we have to do in the world, who do accept God and the divinity of the Torah. And the intention has to be to get close to God and Torah, not for ulterior motives like, oh, if I'm a Jew, I'll be rich, or I'll be able to marry this woman. And Archen, which is in the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and then in the temple, the Beis Hamikdash, in the chapter called Leviticus Vayikra 27, verse 3 to 8, one could redeem oneself by the shekel. In a sacred shekel is worth what they would call 20 gera, versus the new shekel, which is like a modern, it's called 100 gera. So obviously it's way more valuable. The sacred shekel, 20 gera, imagine you cut something to 20 pieces, each piece is more valuable than if you cut something to 100 pieces, it's much less valuable. So the sacred shekel, basically a shekel was often interpreted as approximately 1 month's work. This is where the interpretations come in. And for those who are too poor, the priest has to decide the correct amount. So it's not the inherent worth of a person, obviously. I just want to say it's the agricultural work, the labor. So for males 60 plus, it's 15 shekel. For females 60 plus, it's 10 shekel. For males, it's who are 20 to 60 years old, it's 50 shekel. For females, it's 20 to 60 who are 20 to 60, it's 30 shekel. For males 5 to 20 years old, it's 20 shekel. For females, it's 5 to 20 who are 5 to 20 years old, it's 10 shekel. For males who are 0 to 5 years old, it's 5 shekel, and for females 0 to 5, it's 3 shekel. So let's take, for example, a man who is who is 50, who is 43 years old. So 50 shekel, let's say, right? So this man, 50 shekel, if we're going to do the math, 50 shekel would be 50 months of his life, right? So that would mean, if we divide it by 12, we have 12, 24, 36, 48. So that's 48 into, that's 4 years. So it would be 4 years and 2 months. the idea is that a man, right? We said it's like about a month's work. So let's say we're saying it would take him about 4 years and 2 months to earn that. Then we have the idea that there's 16 grams of silver for every shekel. So let's say we have 16 grams of silver, and you have to find out how much it costs, right? So let's say, I think I looked it up recently, it was 94 cents for every gram of silver. So you would have to do 54 times 16, right? So 6 times 4 is 24. 1 times 4 plus 2. 64, right? 64, 6, 12, 18, 24, and 1, yeah. So it's 64. Then we have 6 times 9, so we have 54. 1 times 9 is 9 plus 5 equals 14. So we have $15.04. $15 for each one. And then we have to do times 50, right? So then we do 50 times 15.04. 5 times 4 is 20. And then we have 25, and then we have 5. So here we have did I do too many zeros? Could it be there's 4 decimals? So from the long division, so it's $752. So let's say someone has a choice. So could it be that 4 years and 2 months of someone's life is worth only $752, right? So that's why it does require some interpretation. So that's the main intro. But now I want to share about anxiety. Anxiety forms and experiences. So Lawrence J Conen, the opposite of worry. So think about, I'm kind of going to share different pieces of this. So the pounding heart, the shallow breathing, tense muscles, butterflies or a churning stomach, hot and cold skin, trembling, sweating, gastrointestinal distress, incontinence, frequent urination, nail biting, hair pulling, fidgeting, chewing on clothing, cognitive inflexibility, avoidance of the new, intense reaction to change, a fear of risk, anxious thoughts, pessimistic beliefs, worries, rumination, emotions, emotional state of alarm, apprehension, panic, dread, always feeling on guard, fear of specific things that are real or imaginary, tendency to perceive the world as generally threatening or dangerous, avoidance of anything that arouses fear or anxiety, and extreme emotional upset when avoidance is impossible, escalating demands for reassurance with increased feelings of desperation, but when reassurance is given, it's often rejected, shyness, clinginess, indecisiveness, perfectionism, compulsions, or an attempt to completely control one's environment, thoughts, bodies, emotions, behaviors, relationships. They're suffering involved in misery or missing out. Misery could be mental or physical, which is ready for an action, but no physical danger. So restlessness, agitation, jitteriness, irritability. This could be a long-term or a constant state of arousal. And then we could say stress response versus a healthy excitement cycle that can complete. Inner security system is the alarm. Is first the alert, then the alarm. the assessment, and then the all clear. So it actually is cruel to force another to be thrown into fear. Agitation occurs when we cannot avoid what scares us, and dread can happen when we feel we won't be able to, in the future, like avoid it. Hint of danger can be a memory, an image. It doesn't have to be a current thing. Slowing down is one of the keys to successfully transforming anxious energy. Alert, alarm, assessment, all clear. The feelings are real, including fear, even if the object causing the fear is not, even if it's in the imagination. And when we listen, this is a crucial response, even if it seems ridiculous, insane, what the other is going through. Modeling fear and overcoming it is very effective. And when we see through the filter of danger, it doesn't allow us for new information to sink in, for a reset. Some skills can be learned effortlessly by some people, but for others it can need extra attention. Plus, for the same person, it could be different with a different type of skill. When we admit fear with eye contact, it allows us to say what we plan to do about it, which can significantly lower levels of unsafeness. So what does that mean? That means talking to someone about the fear. Now we could talk about it in a real way. It's not this like big boogie monster. We could check under the bed. We could check the closet when it comes to a child, for example. Real security requires flexible intelligence, which means solutions for managing the scares, knowing the difference between danger and scary but safe, and choices as per our confidence. We can also empathize, and I like to use the word compassion. Empathize often means we have to feel the feelings. Compassion, I guess, is more like we could witness and be aware and understand and relate and resonate with those feelings. So we can also encourage and push someone to face what might seem like too much, but it's necessary without them feeling alone and unsupported. We can be soothing at first with gentle comfort and love, and only after we can start teaching, reasoning, arguing, effectively, where a thinking brain needs a primal input first that allows it to go about listening and absorbing in that mode, kind of. So we have to reassure someone, make them feel safe before they can actually take in information that they are safe, the reasoning behind it. Reassurance without dismissal actually works and it's even better if we validate first. So if we can tell someone, like, I totally understand why you're afraid that, that might happen to you. And then we could, and I'll be here for you and we'll take care of it. And also telling them, like, without the reasoning, just reassuring them first. Like, I'm sure that it, it could have, that it could end in that way. That's a possibility. But people do this all the time, and that never, like, saying those things. But first, we have to make them feel like, assure them that they're okay. So we could say, like, I've seen you climb many times. You actually don't even realize how high you could climb. Or I've seen that, you're really good at falling. Like, when you fall, you roll. Like, I trust your ability to, for your body to handle, impacts in a way that, you might be nervous about. And things like this, we reassure the person, and then we reason with them. Studies show that people who get up and down all the time, and you're a gardener, are very good at catching themselves when they're close to the ground. And we could, let's say there's an older person, I'm saying, who's afraid. So these are just examples that first we do not dismiss, we validate. Then we reflect back, what was said and show that we understand. And then they're then more likely to value what we're saying versus if we right away argue and say, that's crazy, or come on, that's not going to happen to you, or that never happens. We disagree, or we correct them even. 15 seconds is a good length of time to see if we're being received by an open channel, or if we need to pause, try something else. I want to share another, thing, which is confidence, coping skills developed during three factors, three variables. One, there has to be a secure connection with the caregiver. Two, and if it's an older person, it doesn't matter. The children could be in that mode like a caregiver or a friend or a spouse. It doesn't have to be like a parent with a child only. Allowed to feel powerful and strong, and encouraged to take risks. The resilience to get up when one falls down, in other words. So somebody can develop confidence if they start to take a class where it's meant for seniors. I'm thinking of Hedy Lankalovich, where you could start to practice sort of situations where you might be in as an older person, where you might come into something that feels uncomfortable, and is a little scary, but then you feel so confident in your body that you don't have the fear. This is just a small example that seems very realistic. Like, of course, the older person would be scared of falling, right? Courage requires us to do things even while we're scared. So that's a big thing, is we could, talking to someone about how courageous they are. It doesn't mean that you have to stop being afraid. And also, we start to help someone with their coping skills if we ask them questions to bring consciousness, like, what did you try, or how did it work, or what would you like to try next time? Instead of getting focused on pain or blame or failure or victimhood or not trying or procrastinating. And I'll stop here, and I wish you a blessed rest of your day. All the best. Bye.